Welcome back to another video. Today I'm explaining the third generation pyrokinetics from fireworks. Of course, the third generation is the most popular generation and it's the one we see the most. Of course, it's Shinra is the third generation, Arthur is a third generation, as well as the dark skinned dude. I'm just forgetting his name. Drop his name in the comment section below. Anyway, let's jump straight to it. The third generation are a classification of individuals that have adapted to spontaneous human combustion, and instead of becoming infernal, they awaken the ability to generate their own flames either from their body or through a certain object, much like Arthur does with his sword and Shinra does through his feet, as well as Benimaru being able to use both. As with the second generation, they sport higher physical capabilities as well as being more resilient to damage, along with natural immunity to flames, so they could just go kick an inferno if need be. Because of their unique abilities, third generations usually become fire soldiers in the special fire force. Of course, it is not necessary. There's probably multiple third generations that are not fire soldiers, but we just don't know. However, unlike second generation pyrokinetics, they cannot manipulate already existing flames. That is sort of true, but even then, Arthur is still able to manipulate his flames through the sword. Granted, that has to do with more his ignition ability rather than his pyrokinetics. So he could technically be classified as third and second, other than Benimaru, of course. Now, their ignition ability. Every third generation has a unique way of utilizing their flames. This method is referred to as an ignition ability. Their ability allows users to generate flames from certain body parts such as their tongue, fist, or parts of their feet, and so on. Some third generations use their ability through an object of some kind, such as sword hilt, as we see, or bubblegum. These objects can utilize the flames in special ways and give the users interesting powers. For example, Gold uses her gauntlet to turn heat into magnesium, as we've seen in the previous episodes of this season. Check it out. It's a great show. Of course, the abilities of a third generation are not limited to only basic flames, as they can generate electricity, superheat their flames into plasma, as we see with Arthur's sword, that's plasma, not flames, and produce explosions, as we see with Shinra, and stimulate the cells in a person's body. If they have enough control over their flames, and shape their flames into weapons, armors, or other constructs, as we see with Dragon, or even energize themselves and increase their physical abilities and the physical abilities of others. A third generation is the only generation that can become a fourth generation. Second generations cannot do that, as they can also the third generation ignition abilities can also create mirages or make people succumb to high heat, or an electric shock user, as we see with Hamiya, being able to control people and send messages through the electricity that naturally go through their brain and nervous system. Hamiya does a version of this. I wouldn't say she mind controls you. She mostly manipulates you to believing something. And then again, Captain Burns did see the evangelist, the thing, right? The light lady. So she, he gave his thing for the faith. So, of course, if a third generation possesses an Adola burst, they can become a fourth generation if they receive an Adola grace. Now, their only weakness with the power of igniting their flames, it also comes with some drawbacks. The flames from a third generation are fueled by the oxygen in their own body, as we see with Conroe. If their ability is overused, like Conroe, that they'll no longer be able to use their ignition ability until they've regathered more. Repetitive use of the ability under such oxygen deprived conditions could lead to the body beginning to char, and the user can gain a lung disease from it. The condition is known as tephrosis. We only see one case of that in Conroe, Benimaru's best friend, who was as powerful as Benimaru when he was active, but he could still use his pyrokinetics. He just doesn't unless it is truly an emergency. Like, Benimaru's nowhere to be found. Anyway, if a pyrokinetic contracts tephrosis, of course they will no longer be able to use the ignition ability to the same level and time duration that they previously could. Of course, Conroe. I may do a video on Conroe. He has a lot to do with stuff. Anyway, like, subscribe. This was me explaining the third generation, and I'll see you in the next one.